morning everyone. Today we will present our analysis of electrical vehicle EV adoption in Norway. We will discuss how Norway became the world leader in EV usage, the government policies that supported the success, and the economic and social impacts of these policies. My name is Shruti and my group members Yukasini, Venisha, Kashmini and Jayasudha will help present this case study. In 2024, about 87% of new electric cars sold in Norway were electric vehicles, compared to only 1% in 2010. This makes Norway the global leader in EV adoption. One important reason for this success is that almost all of Norway's electricity comes from renewable hydropower, making EVs much cleaner than conventional cars. The government encouraged EV adoption through several incentives including no VAT on EV purchases, lower road toll charges, cheaper ferry fees, investment in charging stations. Norway also aims for all new cars sold after 2025 to be emission-free. High income levels and strong environmental awareness among citizens have also supported this transition. Learning curve effects. The first theory is the learning curve effect. This theory states that as more EVs are produced, manufacturers gain experience and production becomes more efficient. As a result, costs decrease over time. Norway's strong demand for EVs encouraged global car manufacturers to invest more in EV production. For example, EV market share increased from 1% in 2010 to 87% in 2024. Battery costs dropped from about USD 1,200 per kilowatt in 2010 to around USD 140 per kilowatt in 2023. As EV prices became lower, more people bought them, which further increased production and reduced costs. This created a positive cycle of growth. Network externalities. The second theory is network externalities. This means that a product becomes more valuable when more people use it. For EVs, more users create greater demand for charging stations. More charging stations make EVs more convenient, which attracts even more users. In Norway, the government invested heavily in charging infrastructure. Private companies also expanded charging networks. Today, Norway has about 25,000 public charging points. People were also influenced by seeing friends, family members, and neighbors driving EVs, making EV ownership more socially accepted. However, there is also a negative effect. As fuel demand decreases, some petrol stations have closed, making it less convenient for conventional vehicle owners. The third theory is subsidy incidence and consumer surplus. Subsidy incidence looks at who benefits most from government subsidies, while consumer surplus refers to the extra benefit consumers receive when they pay less than they are willing to pay. In Norway, EV buyers receive benefits such as VAT exemption worth around USD 10,000 to 15,000 per vehicle, reduced toll charges. These incentives make EV ownerships much cheaper and provide significant savings for consumers. However, the benefits are not shared equally. Higher income households are more likely to buy new EVs and therefore receive more of the subsidy benefits. People living in cities also gain more because they use toll roads more often. An interesting point is that Norway uses income from its oil and gas industry to help fund EV incentives, meaning fossil fuel revenues are supporting the transition to cleaner transportation.
Today, I will discuss the economic impacts of electric vehicle of EVs in Norway. Norway is the world leader in EV adoption. By 2025, about 95.9% of new cars sold in Norway were electric. This success is due to government incentive, environmental policies, and a strong charging network. Positive economic impacts. EV market growth. The EV industry in Norway has grown rapidly over the last decade. Government incentives such as tax exemption, lower road taxes, and toll discounts encourage people to buy EVs. As a result, EVs made up almost all new car sales in 2025 compared to 66% in 2021. This growth created opportunities for car manufacturers, charging station companies, battery producers, and software developers. Employment opportunities. The growth of EVs has created many jobs. Employment increase in vehicle maintenance, software development, renewable energy engineering, and charging station construction. The installation of charging stations across the country also created jobs in construction and maintenance. In addition, the EV industry attracted foreign investment and encouraged innovation. Reduce fuel dependency. EVs helped reduce the use of petrol and diesel between 2022 and 2024. Norway's petroleum consumption decreased by about 10% since most of the Norway's electricity comes from hydropower. EVs use clean energy produced within the country. This improves energy security and reduces dependence on imported fuel. Lower operating costs. EVs are cheaper to operate than traditional vehicles. Owners spend less on fuels, maintenance, and servicing. They also receive benefits such as lower toll charges and parking discounts. Businesses using EVs can reduce transportation costs and improve efficiency. Negative economic impacts. High initially EV costs. Although EVs are cheaper to operate, they are still expensive to buy because batteries are costly. Government incentive help reduce prices, but many low-income households still find EVs difficult to afford. EV demand also depends heavily on government supports. Loss of government tax revenue. As more people use EVs, the government collects less revenue from fuel taxes and vehicle registration taxes. Norway is estimated to lose about 640 billion NOK in revenue between 2007 and 2025 due to EV incentive and lower fossil fuels taxes. This creates challenges for government finances. Charging infrastructure costs. Building charging stations across the country requires large investments from the government and private companies. Construction, maintenance, and electricity costs are high in rural areas. The government often needs to provide financial support because charging stations may not be profitable. Figure 1 shows the number of newly registered cars powertrain type and weight category. The figure clearly shows that electric vehicle registration are increasing while petrol and diesel vehicle registration are decreasing.
Good day everyone, I will be presenting the environmental and socio-cultural impacts of EV adoption in Norway. Firstly, EV adoption has brought several positive economic impacts. Electric vehicles help reduce greenhouse gas emission and improve air quality because they do not produce emissions. Since most of Norway's electric comes from renewable hydropower, EV charging is also environmentally friendly. As shown in figure 1, the number of electric vehicles has increased significantly, supporting Norway's transition towards sustainable transportation. However, EV adoption also has negative environmental impacts. The production of EV batteries require materials such as lithium, cobalt, and nickel, which can lead to deforestation, water pollution, and habitat destruction, and so on. In addition, battery disposal and recycling remain environmental challenges, while the growing number of EVs increases demand for electricity and charging infrastructure. Moving on to socio-cultural impacts, EV adoption has increased environmental awareness among Norway citizens and encouraged greener lifestyles. It also has improved public health through cleaner air and reduced noise pollution. Figure 3 shows the rapid growth of EV usage in Norway, reflecting strong public acceptance. On the other hand, some challenges still exist. EV ownership may be less affordable for lower income households, creating social inequality. Figure 4 highlights differences in EV ownership among households. In addition, rural areas may have less access to charging infrastructure, and increased private car usage may contribute to traffic congestion. In conclusion, EV adoption in Norway provides significant environment and social benefits, but challenges related to sustainability, affordability, and infrastructure still need to be addressed. That's all from me. Thank you.
Today I will talk about the ethical issues and decision making related to Norway's electric vehicle or EV adoption policy. The first ethical issue is social inequality and affordability. Norway gives incentives such as tax exemption and lower road tolls to encourage people to buy EVs. However, wealthier people benefit more because they can afford to buy new EVs, while lower income groups may still find them expensive. This raises concerns about equal access to sustainable transportation. The second ethical issue is environmental justice. EVs help reduce carbon emissions, but their batteries require minerals such as lithium, cobalt, and nickel. Mining these minerals can cause environmental damage, water pollution, and poor working conditions in some countries. Therefore, Norway should support ethical sourcing and responsible battery production. The third issue is energy and resource sustainability. Norway uses renewable hydropower for most of its electricity, but the growing number of EVs increase electricity demand. The government must ensure that the future energy needs can be met without creating problem for future generation. The fourth issue is the use of public funds. Norway spends a lot of public money on EV incentives. Some people believe that this money could also be used for public transportation, rural transport, and other social needs. Therefore, the government must make sure public resources are used fairly. Based on these issues, Norway should continue its EV policy but make some improvements to it. The policy has been very successful. Around 97% of new cars sold in 2025 were electric. This has helped reduce emission and support Norway's climate goals. Economically, EVs reduce dependence on fossil fuels, lower fuel costs, encourage innovation, and support green industries. Future subsidies should focus more on lower income household and first-time EV buyers. Environmentally, the government should continue supporting EVs while improving battery recycling, promoting a circular economy, and ensuring ethical sourcing of battery materials. From a social perspective, more support should be given to lower income households and rural communities. The government should also continue building charging stations, especially in rural areas, and support better labor and environmental standards in battery production. In conclusion, Norway should maintain and improve its EV adoption policy because it brings economic and environmental benefits while addressing social and ethical concerns.
Now I will present the recommendation and responsibility strategy for Norway's EV transition. Although Norway has successfully increased EV adoption, several challenges still exist. Therefore, some improvements are needed to ensure long-term sustainability. First, the government should provide more targeted EV incentives, especially for lower income households and first time buyers. This will make EV ownership more affordable and reduce inequity. Second, Norway should promote ethical battery supply chains by ensuring that battery material are sourced responsibly and meet environmental and labor standards. Third, battery recycling should be strengthened. Recycling and reusing battery material can reduce waste and improve sustainability. Fourth, charging infrastructure should be expanded in rural areas so that all citizens have equal access to EV faculties. Finally, Norway should improve smart energy management through smart charging and vehicle-to-grid technologies to maintain electricity grid stability. In conclusion, Norway's EV policy has been highly successful in promoting sustainable transportation. The policy has brought many economic, environmental, and social benefits, including lower emissions, reduced fuel dependence, and greater environmental awareness. However, challenges such as battery production, recycle, and equal access to EV benefits still need attention. By improving these areas, Norway can continue to lead the world in sustainable transportation and serve as a model for other countries. Thank you.